The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. One of the things that I focus on a lot is relationships and money. All kinds of relationships, not just husband and wife, but boyfriend and girlfriend and parents and children and all that stuff. And relationships and money are tricky. I mean, just an infinite amount of trickiness. It's I am very fortunate that I am in a marriage that is completely and 100% free of any money arguments at all. Never have any arguments about money, because money is a stupid thing to argue about. It is, because it's like the least important thing in your life. There's so many important, like if you're going to argue about something, like argue about something important. Like money is not, a lot of people lose sight of that. Gosh. Like I have a couple friends whose marriages or relationships are just under constant tension because of money. And usually it's a situation where the husband spends more money than the wife wants him to. And literally they just get bogged down in these like incredibly petty and stupid arguments, like over $50 and stuff like that. I mean, really, it's insane stuff, and people screaming and losing their mind. And I mean, it's really bad. It's really bad. So one of my goals here is to try to create an environment where maybe you just want to avoid getting into one of those situations in the first place. Because what I found is that, you know, people out there, they're one of two things. They're either a CF or a high roller, and the CFs don't spend money and the high rollers do spend money. You get some people in between, but usually it's in the extremes. People either spend money or they don't spend money. And if you get two people together that have different philosophies about money, then it can cause some really big problems. Really big problems. And I'm not saying this as some, like, you know, super rich butthead detached observer. Like, yeah, like in my life, like I have been through periods of time where we had very scarce resources and we had to ration things and we had to make hard decisions about what to spend money on. But we got through all those things without ever getting into an argument. So I don't know how we did it, but I'm just going to tell you what we did. And by the way, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, should you check their credit score? It's kind of an interesting question. I mean, I'm gonna just say that, okay, let's say you're in a relationship. You've been doing this for a few months now, 2 or 3 months. And you're starting to talk about serious stuff. One of the serious things that you should talk about, and I don't really mean that you should explicitly, like, you show me mine and I'll show you yours or whatever. Like, I don't mean you should explicitly say, you know, I'm going to show you my credit score, but you should talk about money. You should have a conversation about money and your attitudes about money. And a credit score is going to be part of that conversation, you know, because a credit score says something about you as a person. Maybe it doesn't say if you're a good person or a bad person, but it says how reliable you are when it comes to money. Are you the type of person who always makes sure they pay their credit card bills on time? Always. So, you know, I'm 45 years old. I'm going to be 46 next month. I've had credit cards since I was a teenager. I have never, in my entire life, missed a payment. Never missed a payment. I carried a balance 1 month just to kind of see what would happen, but in terms of like making the monthly payment, I've never missed a payment. And because that's the type of person I am. Correspondingly, I have a high credit score. So let's say I was on the dating market and I was like on Tinder or Bumble or something like that, I was having dates with people and I got into this relationship and I found that the person I was with, you know, had like a 620 credit score. I mean, I wouldn't say, what the hell is wrong with you, but I'd try to get to the bottom of the issue. Like, why is your credit so bad? Because your credit can actually be bad for different reasons. I mean, it's not simply a matter of not making your payments, which is kind of a slob thing to do. Some people have low credit scores because they have high debt utilization. They've maxed out all their credit limits, and that is also another cause for concern because that reveals something about a person's spending habits. So these are discussions you have to have. Yeah, I mean, what if you're someone who has a very high credit score and you find out that your girlfriend has a very low credit score? What are you supposed to do? I don't mean to make light of the situation, but you should drop her like third period French. Okay, you should you should dump her. So let's talk about what goes into the credit score. Okay, there are three major credit reporting agencies. There's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, and each one of them, they collect a lot of data. They collect data on you, and they give you a score on the scale of 300 to 850. And 300 is, by the way, I've never met anyone with a credit score below, like in the 400s. I haven't seen that yet. I've seen some in the 500s, but I've never seen any in the 400s. 300 is obviously very bad. 850 is the best. My score is close to 850. It used to be 850, but now it's just close to 850. The average score in the country is 687. But it varies depending on where you go in the country. It could be, I think it's like 640 something in Texas, and I think it's like 710 in Minnesota. Different parts of the country have different attitudes towards debt than other parts of the country. The South generally is not good at paying their credit card bills. Subprime, and you probably heard that word before, subprime refers to, people with below prime credit. Subprime is below 680. And you might remember the word subprime from the financial crisis with subprime mortgages. And these were people with credit scores under 680 taking out mortgages. And that didn't work so well. And, quite frankly, it was because you had people who were deficient in character owning an asset that they were probably unprepared to own. So that's it. That didn't work out so well. And that's the financial crisis in a nutshell. And that's a subject for another time. So let's talk about how your credit score is computed. Number one, and this is obvious, your payment history. Okay. So credit cards, yes, but also bankruptcies show up in your credit report. Foreclosures, accounts that have been turned over to collection agencies. Okay. But your payment history, like have you made your payments on time? And if you download a credit report, you can actually see like per account, like month by month, like whether you paid the bill on time. Debt utilization, which we talked out, which is how much of your credit limit that you're using. High debt utilization is bad. Low debt utilization is good. Types of credit. Revolving, which is credit cards, mortgages, car loans, home equity lines of credit, personal loans, things like that. The rating agencies look for new credit. So if you've opened accounts, that could be bad because what it could mean is that you've used up your available credit on your existing accounts and now you're opening a new account to try to get access to more credit. And the fifth one is inquiries. And a lot of people checking your credit could be bad because it could mean that you want to open up an account. Most of your credit score is payment history and debt utilization. So it really comes down to you borrowed money. Can you pay it back? Will you pay it back? The funny thing about credit scores, let's say you loan somebody $1,000 and they don't pay it back. So obviously you're going to be upset. What would you call that person? Is there a word? Is there a name that you would use to call that person? I think you would call them a scumbag. You would be pretty mad, okay? And that's what we call people who borrow money and don't pay it back. And it's one thing, if it's person to person, right? Like, I'm talking to you, I borrow $1,000 from you and I don't pay it back, right? But you're also a scumbag if you don't pay back the giant faceless corporation that you borrowed the money from. It doesn't make any difference if it's Capital One. It doesn't make any difference if it's Citibank. You still have to pay them back, even though it's a giant faceless corporation. You know, when you got the card, you signed a credit agreement. You signed on the line that is dotted, and it said that you would pay the money back on time. If you buy a car and you take out a car loan, you took a car and you didn't pay for it. You essentially stole it. This is why somebody is going to repossess the car. They're going to pull up in your driveway when you're having dinner, or they're going to hook up a tow truck and they're going to tow it out of your driveway because it doesn't belong to you. You didn't pay for it. And these are issues of character. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.